Since Mercedes launched the GLC way back in 2016, its segment of mid-range luxury SUVs that costs approximately 50 lakh rupees has remained rather quiet. But the dormant segment is about to become one of the most active, as in the next couple of months alone, we are about to see the launch of a brand new Audi Q5, a brand new BMW X3, and even Lexus's quirky NX. But Volvo has beaten all of them to the punch with this, the brand new XC60, which will be one of the last few launches of 2017. It's a good looker, isn't it? And that's no wonder. It is based on the bigger XC90. It shares a platform with it and, of course, a lot of family resemblance. The difference is this is a 5-seater, not a 7-seater, and it's a lot more hunkered down and aggressive looking than the stately XC90. What I'm really curious about, though, is this car's specification. You see, it's being launched as a D5 inscription, and what that means is a 235 horsepower diesel engine and a load of equipment. I can't wait to try it out. Now, the inscription trim doesn't only imply that there's a lot of equipment in the car, although there is. It also tells you that this is a very well trimmed cabin. Now, of course, it's not at the same level as the bigger, more expensive 90 series cars, and you'll notice that in the more obvious use of plastic all over the dashboard, but it's very good quality plastic, so you really can't complain too much. And there's no dearth of fancy, expensive looking materials either. The big slab of wood from the dashboard may be missing, but now there is a thinner slab that bends and flows around the base of the dashboard, and it's finished in this car in a very attractive, light, pale, unvarnished wood finish. There's also loads of sumptuous soft leather, including on the steering wheel and the seats, Napa leather to be precise, and it all feels very, very top-notch indeed. The front seats, well, as ever with Volvo, they offer medical grade levels of comfort and support, and couple that with a wide array of adjustments means it's really easy to get comfortable and stay comfortable on a long journey. And because this is the inscription trim, the front seats offer heating, cooling, massage and memory functions. And that will really be one of the XC60's main selling points, the fact that it's fully loaded with features, some of which are first in class, like those massaging seats. The list of goodies is vast: adjustable air suspension, 4-zone climate control, a heads-up display, a digital instrument cluster, and heated rear seats, to name just some. Then there's the super quick 9-inch portrait touchscreen with navigation, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, connected to a phenomenal 15-speaker Bowers & Wilkins audio system. In fact, it's got the same equipment list as the XC90. And because this is a Volvo, it has every conceivable form of active and passive safety system built into it, including all the radar-based ones. Whether you choose to use them on our roads, however, is up to you. You have to applaud Volvo's decision to offer the XC60 with the more powerful D5 version of its 2-litre diesel engine. In the XC90, it felt adequate. In the V90 Cross Country, it felt good. But in this car, it just feels effortless. It packs in 235 horsepower and 480 Newton meters of torque, which is quite a bit more than what most rivals 4-cylinder diesel engines offer. Now, I'm sure once we strap our testing equipment to this car, it will return some pretty impressive times, but out on the road, in practice, it's not a very sporty engine. Like all other applications of this engine, it is very smooth, very linear, and has a nice strong reserve of power, but you wouldn't want to rev the pants off it, nor do you get that solid hit in the mid-range. It's just very easy to drive and gives you a lot of confidence. And just like the engine, the handling isn't something you'd call sporty either. Yes, body control is pretty tidy when you switch to dynamic mode, and the steering does weigh up a little bit. And sure, it's a bit more agile than the bigger XC90. But as with most Volvos, this is not one for aggressive handling. The steering isn't quick, nor does it give you a lot of feedback, so it's best to drive the XC60 at a more relaxed pace. Now they've managed to do something really interesting with the ride quality of this car, and that's because they've given it air springs at all four corners, and that's quite impressive in this class of car. What that means is that you get this pillowy soft ride comfort that only air suspension can deliver, and it's also allowed Volvo to fit this car with big 19-inch alloy wheels. Now the 19-inch alloy wheels don't bother you too much, it's only when you go over a really sharp bump that you'd hear them thunk inside the cabin. And yes, there's the one downside of air suspension, that in comfort mode at least, if you're on the highway and going over some undulations, you will feel a little bit of float. Refinement too is really impressive, with very little noise entering the cabin, be it from the engine or the elements outside. Before we wind up though, a quick word on what life is like in the back seat. Now onto the back seat, and the thing you notice first is that when you open the door, the aperture isn't really all that wide, and you have to climb around this little bit to get in. Once you're inside though, you'll find that there is plenty of knee room, plenty of headroom, and a lot of support from this really well contoured and cushioned seat. Yes, a fifth passenger might have a little bit of trouble because of the contours and because of the wide central console, but for two back here, it's absolutely fine. You also get some nice goodies to keep you comfy, like two separate zones for the rear passenger compartment, and of course this big glass roof. So if you're sat in the back of the XC60, you won't have too much of a problem at all. It's also got a sizable boot with a powered tailgate, powered flip-down rear seats, and a space-saver spare tire stored under a flat floor. Now unfortunately, the price wasn't yet revealed at the time of this review, but we've been told to expect a slight premium over the current competition. But then Volvo always keeps its prices aggressive, so it won't be too much higher, and we expect this D5 Inscription, the only model available at launch, to cost about 55 lakh rupees ex-showroom. But don't write it off just yet. Remember, this car has more power and more equipment than the competition, so a small stretch of the budget might be worth it for some. In case it is not, less expensive variants will be introduced later, and though the XC60 is fully imported now, it will likely be locally assembled later too, and that should bring the prices down. With every new model it launches, Volvo establishes itself a stronger foothold in the Indian luxury car market. It started with the 90 series cars that set themselves apart for being luxurious, good-looking, and really well equipped. Now, the XC60 continues that tradition with all of the same traits, but it's got its work cut out for it with a slew of really tough competition about to be launched. Still, with a package as strong as this, I'm happy to say we're in for a good fight.
Don't go away. Right after this break, Formula One champ and the Flying Finn Mika Hakkinen takes us for a drive.